Ahmed, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
I want to start with some of the stuff that people don't necessarily know about you. We know you because of your voice, and you're certainly not a shrinking violet. You're somebody who's comfortable speaking about your accomplishments. But when we first started talking about you coming on the podcast, somebody else had mentioned to me that you had quite a traumatic incident when you were younger.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
It's split into quite a few. The first traumatic experience that I actually had that didn't involve physical inability was being told I'll never be a musician by people I respected, who, as I grew, I realized I shouldn't have cared that much about their opinion. But I mean, I was like 14, so nobody can blame me, right? And they're well in their 30s and 40s. So that left a scar on me. Yes, there's this whole, I changed it around. I took the negative energy and turned it to a drive. I did, but I didn't know what I was doing to turn the negative into positive. And as a kid, I was like, yeah, your tone's not right. See, before I developed the tones that is now known as the voice of Dubai, I knew how to identify what was a bad tone,
Right.
even when it was spoken in a positive manner from a young age.
I'm going to interrupt you there just for a second because I think that that's interesting. You have a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
I've been married for a long time. One of the things that you recognize is you pick up the tone when somebody's arguing with you, or when they say something but they maybe mean something else, right? Have you had this conversation with your girlfriend? How does she feel about your ability to pick up tones?
She is...
Or she would rather text you?
Okay, I'm looking at the camera for her, by the way. Do you hear what he just said? She does definitely prefer to text me when I catch her on stuff.
Right.
Because she would say, there's nothing wrong or whatever. And then I would know, and I would put it in front of her. Like, listen, you know who I am, right? Like, you know what I've done, right? I am telling you something's up. And then on the second round, she'd be like, can I text it?
So you guys are sitting in the same room and you're texting each other.
Literally, as early as last night, this has happened. But I love that. I actually respect that in her because she admits that there is something, but it's usually very small stuff.
Sure.
Sometimes it's even positive,
Right.
but she didn't know how to express the positivity in her way.
So I want to, before I ask you for your second traumatic moment when you were younger, do you think in Dubai you get further as a business if you charge more for your services?
Yes.
And that's because there's a perception that quality is always associated with something that's more expensive?
And so, as you're well aware, Michael, I work globally. I don't have that big of a global portfolio, but I do have some important names. But regionally, I'm quite powerful. And my portfolio is quite powerful in terms of music. And what I can tell you is the clients I've had in Jordan, Qatar, Kuwait accepted a smaller or pushed for a smaller budget, while my clients in UAE and Saudi and a little bit in Oman, but mainly UAE and Saudi, accepted a much higher offering from me. The reason why is perception equal with the work I've already done. So it's not as simple as, oh, look how big my portfolio is, thus I'm this much. It's rather understanding the insights of that industry, understanding the element of it. With Saudi, I approached them with a vision. With UAE, I approached them with luxury. So, hey, do you want to be like insurance market's successful Sonic? Do you want to be like Etisalat's successful Sonic? You know, but in Saudi, it's more like, do you want to be the first at doing something that's going to position you in X, Y, and Z? So it's all about the language that you use that's specifically focused on that country or region. But the people I've sold in New York, or let's say US as a whole, or London, UK as a whole, I had a completely different approach that was infinitely more head down, work first. So it really depends and rely on human communication. It just goes down to human communication.
Right.
And the fact that you cannot please everybody. See, I talk a lot. Others don't. We can both have the same impact.
Yep.
But I approve of who I am as a person who talks a lot.
So getting back to that second traumatic moment, tell me about that.
That was a day like any other. I had woken up like any other day. And that day I decided to go and get some food and watch some movies. That was my day. And I went and I bought some movies.
And you were how old?
I was 17 and a half.
Okay.
and I bought some food and then the movies, and I came back home to watch them. And I sat down. It was honestly like a movie that night, August 2nd, 2012. I sat down, and the food was in a styrofoam. It was crispy chicken, right? Very specific from Tripoli. It's very delicious. And I opened up the coleslaw, the fries, all that. And then I put the first movie. I'm about to press play. My phone rings. It's my best friend, Ahmed Deeb, bless his soul, who passed away. So calls me up and is like, yo, where you at? I'm like, I'm at home. And he's like, yeah, me and Muhammad are going to pick you up. These are my two closest friends from childhood, FYI. These are not just some normal friends. One's a musical genius. The other's a great rapper. And they come, they pick me up. And I'm like, you guys just, I barely enjoyed my food. I couldn't watch a movie. What's going on? They're like, nothing. We're bored. So we went down, had a bit of a hangout with a bunch of friends. And then we went to the MENA area, the beach area in Tripoli in Lebanon. And then the girl I was dating at the time texted me saying, hey, you want to hang out? And she's all the way in Beirut. So I looked at my friends and I'm like, okay, read the text and you tell me what this means. And they knew what that meant. So I'm like, y'all got to take me to Beirut, right? And it was already like around 7 p.m. Now, here's something I wanted to leave here on this podcast. Because I tell you I like you, that doesn't exist on any of the podcasts I've talked about this. My mother had a dream a week before the accident where I died, legitimately. And she was crying in the morning, and it was the day she was flying to France because my sister was giving birth to one of the first kids in the family, like my nieces. And she's like, I had a dream you died. And I'm like, why are you crying? It's a dream. She was like, no. That felt real. You need to promise me right now you're not going to leave Tripoli for the whole month I'm going to be in France with your sister. And I'm like, fine, I won't leave Tripoli. But I did because I got that text. So we got to, in Lebanon, there's the checkpoint, the military checkpoint, yeah? It separates the north from Beirut. And we got there, and there's these three kids in a car. They're clearly under 18. Clearly nobody has a license. Clearly they're boys. And the military was okay, yeah, go ahead. So, you ready for this? I've never said this before. We got to Beirut, so to get to the girl I was seeing's house, I used to take a bus, and then once I got there, I knew, because it was broad daylight, where to walk and all that. This is at a time where there's no Google Maps or anything in Lebanon, yeah? So I got there, and I messed up the road, because it was at night. So I was guiding us in the wrong place, until eventually, we got to a road that was a one-way, which is the opposite of our way. So it goes like this, we were going like that. And there was a whole massive red sign that said, do not enter. But we still did, because I told them to. And we ended up, coincidentally, right in front of a police station. And they saw us, and they're like, habibi. They're like, what are you guys doing? You're going the opposite way. Papers. My friends started panicking. I'm like, oh, we're going to have a hell of a night. Now, I've never been in a situation like that in my life at the time. Alhamdulillah, never again. So they check the paper. They realize, my friend doesn't have a driver's license. The car belongs to his father, yada, yada. And they were going to impound the car and keep us there and contact our parents to come and pick us up. Now, if they happened to have done that, that's where the night would have ended. Yet, subhanallah, as we say in Arabic, the chief of the police of that station happened to know Muhammad, who also passed away, the passenger. He happened to know his mom from the village. And he's like, wait, aren't you this person's son? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, fine. You guys can go, but don't do this again. And my friends were so pissed off. They're like, you're not seeing anybody today. We're going straight back. Now, keep in mind, we're all sober. Everybody's fine. So they were very angry at me and told me not to say a single word. So I zipped it, right? And I decided to sleep, because what are you going to do when and everybody's silent. Like, it was very awkward in the car. Until towards the end of the trip, I did sleep, and I woke up to screaming, because there was a cab in front of us, and there was no lights on the highway, and the cab didn't have any. It was a diesel car, like one of those 70s Mercedes, you know what I mean? And that's the taxis in Tripoli. And by the time my friend Ahmed saw the car, it happened to be on a very famous turn in Tripoli called Ku'a Jamajim, or the turn of skulls, because whoever falls from that turn goes down the equivalent of 2.5 stories. And that's what happened. We went down 2.5 stories, and the car hit. It went like, ew, front, back, and my best friends died immediately, and they had to cut the car in half, take me out, airlift me to a hospital, and then when I got there, I was DOA, dead on arrival. So they hooked me up to an EKG, and I was in the place, and I died at exactly 2:46 a.m. on the 3rd of August, 2012, and my heart came back to life in 46 seconds. We have an authenticated, and I'm happy to prove this. I'll just ask my mom to take a photo. We have an authenticated death certificate that's half filled up from 2012. And then my heart came back without medical assistance.
So that happens, and then at what point, you're 31 now, you're 17 and a half when that happens. What point do you decide to make the move to Dubai?
18 and a half, a year in recovery, my mom said, you're done with Lebanon, and Lebanon is done with you. This was the clearest message that you need to go. My eldest brother, Hussam, who's one of my biggest supporters and the eldest in the family, lives here. And him and my mom decided to bring me here. And I came here and I had a job like everybody, and I was let go from my job. It was like music playlists and organized, like Spotify basically. And I had a coffee with a friend who told me about sonic branding and what sonic branding is. And I was 19 at the time, and it completely changed my life. And in less than 2 weeks, I had a whole presentation, I started pitching it. Within 3 months, I landed my first client. And as they say, the rest is literally history.
And your first client was?
Dubai Parks and Resorts.
And what was it that you did for them?
The entire music for like Legoland and all that.
So you mentioned entrepreneur, and you've been doing this now for more than 10 years, working as an entrepreneur in
Yes.
Dubai. Talk to me about the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship in Dubai. Let's start with the good.
Let's start with the good. Sometimes when you get lucky, you get lucky.
Okay.
I mean, real lucky. It is a thriving economy filled with connections, filled with opportunities to the brim. I mean, even overflowing. But if you don't have the right lens on, you're not going to see it. And if you don't see the opportunity when it passes you, you're not going to be able to catch it. So it's sort of like going to this lake that's filled with fish. But if you're not using the right stick, the technicalities, then the fish might be too big for you to be able to. So it's all about identifying the opportunities, having the right tools for it and all of that. And that's an incredible thing. I see it as a very positive thing because it drives you to be better. It drives you to think better and everywhere in between. So that's the good. And the last thing on the good that I would say is that there are a lot of people out there that are more than happy to help you and are not money centric. They don't care how much you charge. If they believe in you, they believe in you. And I think that's an incredible blessing. And we should always focus on that point.
The bad of entrepreneurship in Dubai?
Everything else.
All right. And then the ugly part?
The ugly part is the dirtiness.
Ahmed, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
It's an honor to be here, and I'm grateful. And can I just say something? I'm so excited for This is Dubai. I'm really excited for the page. And I'm pretty sure you've flown on Emirates Airlines, and you've probably heard me say, "This is Dubai," which is on the plane. And now I get to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dubai. Follow the page now and support it." Thank you for having me.
Thank you.